Hello, I am Ricky J, and welcome to another reaction with me, Recky. And we're going for some more United States of America history. So that's kind of cool. Ever since I did the Star Spangled Banner reaction, you guys have been phenomenal, phenomenal. You guys been great. And for this video, we're going big. We're going big. And this video is a summary of the United States from the first colonists came to the land until today. So this span is kind of huge. The video lasts for about 19 minutes, so I decided I'm going to do part 1 and part 2. So gather your friends and family. It's going to be some history time. Well, I'm going to pause every now and then to reflect and comment. Okay, let's do this, Recky. Oh, that was not it. There we go. Boom, boom, boom.
We begin in 1750 in North America. It's been 150 years since settlers from Western Europe, mostly fleeing poverty, famine, or religious and political persecution, first arrived on the continent. Their arrival came at the expense of millions of Native Americans who lived there for thousands of years, mostly in tribes. On the East Coast, Great Britain has established colonies inhabited by 1.5 million people. The northern regions depend mainly on fishing and trade, while in the south, the climate is ideal for growing products such as tobacco, rice, and cotton. Rich landowners, called the planters, seize vast territories that they exploit by buying slaves from Africa via the triangular trade. Further west, the Appalachian Mountains form a natural boundary. Beyond it,
This is when the United States was just a baby, and I love history buffs. I mean, I love this. I think it's awesome that we should learn this in school, especially you guys from America. I'm pretty sure you get a small portion of it, but this is something that should be common knowledge. I don't know a lot about Sweden. I know that a lot of Swedes immigrated to United States, just as he said, with the poverty and the crops not grown and the starvation, and there was a lot of things going on in Sweden. So there's a lot of Swedes that just left Sweden and just went to United States of America. And there's a lot of you guys that has some Swedish blood in your veins, or just Scandinavian. And I think it's kind of cool. Let's continue.
is the vast French colony, which lives mainly off the fur trade. Tensions rise between the French and British colonies. When the 7 Years' War breaks out in Europe, Britain dominates and takes hold of New France. Native American tribes living there unite to demand the departure of the British and the recognition of their own state. To calm the situation, the British government hurriedly carves out an Indian reservation between the Appalachians, the Mississippi River, and the Great Lakes. This does not please the colonists, who wanted to seize the opportunity to extend their territories to the west. In addition, war proves costly for Britain. The country expects its colonies to repay parts of its debt through new taxes, which further angers the settlers. In Boston, in protest of taxes on tea, colonists disguised as Native Americans climb on board British East India Company ships and throw out its tea cargo into the ocean.
It's kind of hard for non-Americans and Americans to understand that there were people in this land before anything else. Native Americans were there first. And if you go even further back, it wasn't Mr. Columbus who actually found United States, or at least land, which now is called United States of America. It was the freaking Vikings. Don't forget about them. They were there long before anyone else was.
With the situation tense, representatives from 12 colonies gather in Philadelphia to organize the First Continental Congress. They decide to boycott British goods. The following year, the War of Independence breaks out, pitting the insurgents, also called the Patriots, against the British and its loyalists. On July 4, 1776, the Second Continental Congress proclaims the independence of the United States of America. France sees an opportunity to avenge its defeat in the Seven Years' War. Having invested heavily in its military fleet, the country has the means to compete with the Royal Navy. France allies with the Patriots. Spain and the United Province of the Netherlands in turn go to war against Great Britain. In 1783, the Patriots prevail,
What?
forcing Britain to recognize the independence of the country. The United States receives territory.
I mean, you can't get far without your friends, isn't that true? Spain, France, U.S. It's crazy that so many countries was involved.
Trees until Mississippi, while Spain seizes Florida. This marks the first time a European colony gains independence. The United States adopts a constitution based on a strict separation of powers. The legislative power, formed by the Congress, passes laws and budgets. The judiciary, with the Supreme Court, upholds the Constitution. And finally, there is the executive power, with the US President, the head of government. On the other hand, the 13 states retain sovereignty over their own constitution and governor. It was decided to build the new capital, Washington, along the Potomac River. In the west, each new territory with
This is 1793. I mean, we haven't passed into the 1800s yet. We haven't passed in. So much thing. There's a lot of things that happen that we don't have a clue about. Maybe one is not teach. No, is not taught in school. Number two is not written down. Think about that just for a minute. About the history, about your family, your legacy, your great 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 grand great great grand great great. Just think about it for just 1 minute. You get another view of life, to be honest.
at least 60,000 free citizens would be allowed to form a new state equal to the others. Pioneers set off to relocate there, pushing back Amerindian tribes further west of the Mississippi River. In 1800, France obtained Louisiana from Spain in exchange for the Kingdom of Etruria. But it proves difficult to protect this vast, faraway, and relatively less known territory. Fearing the loss of Louisiana to United Kingdom in war, France decides to sell the region to the United States.
Wow.
Congress then funds expeditions to explore and reach the Pacific Oceans. In Europe, France and the UK clash again.
I didn't know that United States actually bought Louisiana. That was completely new to me.
The United States first tries to remain neutral, but following tensions with Britain, enters the war. It fails in a bid to invade the colony of Canada as a British maritime raid reaches Washington and burns the city. At the end of the war, the United States abandons its ambitions in the north and focuses on the south, where the Spanish Empire is in decline. A military incursion in Florida allows, after negotiations, the annexation of the territory. In the west, Oregon is shared with the United Kingdom. East of the Mississippi, 5 Amerindian tribes are adapted to the settlers' sedentary and agrarian lifestyle. But Congress nevertheless decides to take over the land and pushes the natives to a reserve west of the Mississippi. Thousands die of exhaustion on the
This is the only thing I don't like about America is the way that they treated the native ones. This is the only thing I do not like. Everything else about America, when it comes to war, has been for the greater, for the patriotism. Uh, we got Hitler, the Second World War. Everything is just really good. This is the only thing I do not appreciate as a non-American. Let me know what you guys think, and please be kind in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, not your thoughts about my thoughts. It's a complete different story.
the way. In Mexico, Texas, which is populated mainly by settlers from the United States, declares its independence. After a war, the Republic of Texas is created and in 1845 is annexed to the United States. But as the border is poorly defined, both countries are at war. The United States prevails and takes the opportunity to annex New Mexico and California, where the discovery of gold causes a rush that attracts hundreds and thousands of pioneers of all origins. With
And that's the story I think we actually get taught in schools when it comes to finding gold in America and how the settlers just came from the from the west coast and went all over to the east coast. That's kind of cool.
the land route proving dangerous, private funds are invested in the construction of a railway in Panama. The state of California is admitted, which does not have slavery. Southern states are largely agrarian and have slavery, while northern states are industrial and abolitionist. Both sides wish to extend their model to the new western states, causing the gap between them to widen.
Funny thing is, this is something we do not learn about in school. The Civil War. There's not a sound about it, and I think this is one of the most important wars in the history of mankind. The Civil War in America.
In 1860, Abraham Lincoln, who was hostile to slavery, is elected president of the country. In response, southern states secede from the United States one by one and band together
Yeah.
to proclaim the Confederate States of America. Then begins the Civil War, which pits the Unionists of the North against the Confederates of the South. The North sets up a maritime blockade on the Atlantic coast, cutting out any potential support from Europe and blocking cotton exports. In 1865, the North prevails and takes the opportunity to impose its policies. Slavery is abolished, and 3.5 million slaves are freed. But African Americans are now victims of segregation and racism, especially through the emergence of the Ku Klux Klan, a white supremacist organization. Many migrate to the north, while others move to
Such a, I mean, this is the birth of a nation. I don't think people can understand the magnitude and the hugeness of this history of United States. It started with a few colonists. It's insane. I hope you guys are proud of what you guys are because you're the I say this all the time when I'm talking to people. I'm glad that United States of America is one of the good guys because I know when the shit hits the fan, we can count on you guys.
cities. The Russian Empire fears losing Alaska to Britain, so chooses to sell the territory to the United States. To accelerate its conquest of the West, the government finances the construction of transcontinental railway lines. In the center of the country, the invention of new machinery allows intensive agriculture. Vast plantations of wheat, corn, and large pastures are set up at the expense of the last 250,000 Amerindians who are kept on reserves. On the other hand, the rich soil allows rapid development of industry. The old continent Europe now views the United States as an El Dorado. Fleeing poverty and religious persecution, many southern and eastern Europeans migrate to the United States where they work as cheap labor. But the economic boom only benefits a minority. An elite group of
Ellis Island is something that I read about when I saw it in one of the I can't remember was it Scarface? You know that movie Scarface? I think it was Scarface that he I'm not sure now, but when I saw that whatever movie it was, that's how I came across Ellis Island, and I love to Google things. But back then there was no Google, there was no internet. So I went to the library and actually read about Ellis Island on on library, which is kind of cool. I'm kind of proud of that now.
Of industrialists grows rich quickly by establishing monopolies in sectors such as steel, railways, oil, and banks at the expense of workers and peasants, including women and children working in harsh conditions.
Yeah.
Strikes and protests erupt, demanding better conditions, but these are often met with violence by private militias or the National Guard. While European powers colonize a large part of the world, the United States also looks to project its power on the international scene. While annexing Hawaii,
Okay, I'm gonna end part one for this, and so far I am deep in American history. And if you're too, don't forget to give me a like, and of course comment your thoughts about it. What makes you proud of America, and any suggestions you might have. And of course, there will be more what you're gonna call it, specific events in the United States because for first, I want to know. I love history, and as I said, history is not a priority in schools anymore, and it's sad because we need to learn what they did back then to achieve our goals today. Thank you so much to my Patreons. It means a bunch to me that you guys are sticking around, and there's gonna be some reactions with my wife for PTX and so on in Patreon just in a few days. And of course, there's going to be a lot more exclusive content. If you want to support me, the link will be in the yeah, in the comment section. And thank you guys. Thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed part one. Part two is coming soon. Don't forget to give me that like so I know that you want part two coming. Thank you for watching. I'm Recky. I'll see you next time.